Thank you everybody for coming, and we'll see how we get on. At the moment it's brilliant, I can see all of you, so with any luck it'll stay that way throughout the meeting. So if we could start with item 1, Steve, apologies for absence.
Yeah, Carrie, for some reason, I thought this was going to automatically record, but it's not. So as host, can you now start recording?
Oh, it says it's recording.
Oh, right. Well, I've got something that says record.
Oh, right. Well, according to me, it's recording.
Okay. Well, that should be how it works.
Good.
We've had apologies from Tim and Pip.
Right. Okay. Okay. Item 2, are there any declarations of interest? I have one because I'm a member of Upper Norton Allotment Association. So I did discuss this with Steve, and he said I need to declare a personal interest. I can participate if I want to, but I'm more than happy if you would prefer that I just sit back and don't participate.
I need to actually say that as well.
You're not a member of Upper Norton.
Oh, that's the other one, is it?
Yes.
Fine, that's fine. I'm muting.
Okay, so presumably I will somehow have to fill in a declaration of interest form. Can you send me one electronically, Steve?
I will do, yes.
Right, I'll fill that in tomorrow. Right, thanks very much. Okay, I'd like then to move straight on to item 3, which is a report from Councillor Rebecca Fogarty, Chair of the COVID-19 operations team, to update us on what's been happening in the last 6 weeks. So, Rebecca?
Thanks, Carrie. I have actually written a report because I started gathering some thoughts, and the list of what's been achieved in the last 6 weeks got pretty long pretty quickly. So Steve, I'm happy to just make sure you have the final written report for the minutes. So this is a full update, although you will have been receiving notes weekly since we started a meeting. So COVID-19 operations team has been meeting regularly since the end of March, following the PM's announcement that the UK was going into lockdown on the 23rd. So this report covers the activities of the operations team on behalf of Mumbles Community Council over the last 6 weeks. I just wanted to start with a huge thank you to everyone who's been involved in this work. It's been demanding, fast-paced, but an overwhelmingly positive experience. Thanks to the members of the operations team, including all of our staff and the 4 councillors who were informally nominated to progress our response. Despite not all having worked together before, we have worked really well together, and we've been able to be highly responsive to emerging issues. And we've also been a strong support for each other in what have been quite trying times. I just wanted to make a special mention for Claire and Maddie, as they've come into new roles in this period, and they've been really flexible to meet the need in current circumstances. And of course, our COVID-19 response wouldn't have been possible without the volunteers who have stepped up. We've had 235 volunteers register to date to take on various roles to support others in their community. And their enthusiasm has been an absolute wonder to behold and is a real credit to the Mumbles community. So first of all, on staying informed and therefore staying safe, COVID-19 is obviously a new infection, and what we know about it has been developing rapidly. To best protect our residents from its impact, we have been sure to stay abreast of new advice and guidance, particularly sources such as Public Health Wales, City and County of Swansea, and the Swansea Council Voluntary Service. This has allowed us and all of our volunteers to stay safe and to keep our vulnerable residents safe as well. I wanted to note particular thanks to Councillor Mark Child for sharing information from City and County proactively, which has helped us keep up to date on developments ranging from public health advice through to information for businesses and warnings about scams that have been circulating off the back of COVID-19. Our offer for residents has developed over the last 6 weeks and is now crystallised into 4 key areas. So that's shopping and grocery deliveries, prescription deliveries, dog walking, and most recently a telephone check-in service. The first 3 have been in high demand from the beginning. So to date, well, when Claire sent me this morning, of course the numbers have probably gone up since then. We had delivered 90 prescriptions, we'd done 52 grocery deliveries, and we had 15 volunteers who were regularly volunteering at Castle Pharmacy, both with deliveries and with their telephone line as well. And we've got 4 people who are regularly getting their dogs walked. So we haven't proactively offered the telephone check-in service until probably the last week because we wanted to make sure we had all of the necessary safeguards in place. This is a much more complex offer and it required more background research about how we can keep both volunteer and recipient safe and well. And Claire does report that there's been low demand so far for this service. The vast majority of requests for help have been by telephone, mostly to the office number 9 till 5 Monday to Friday. However, we have been operating a counsellor on call system with a rota of counsellors, including City Councillor Des Thomas, with an MCC mobile phone on 3-day shifts to cover evenings to 9 PM and weekends and bank holidays 9 till 9. Thanks ever so much to everybody who's been on that rota. This has worked pretty well despite initial issues with the mobile phone itself. And the clerk has also set up a dedicated email address, COVID-19 support@mumbles.gov.uk. So in terms of looking after our volunteers, keeping our volunteers safe and preventing them from spreading infection has been our primary concern. All volunteers have been provided with disposable gloves and an MCC volunteer ID. Regular volunteers for Castle Pharmacy have also been provided with a bottle of hand sanitizer thanks to a donation from Gower Gin. We've used all of the sources of information that I mentioned just a minute ago to write up our own guidance for each of the tasks that we're asking our volunteers to do to make sure that they carry out their duties safely and with minimal risk of spreading the virus. This guidance is now available on the new volunteers section of our website. And the RFO has developed an expenses policy for expenses incurred during volunteer duties. And the clerk and the RFO have set up a straightforward route to claim these on our website. So getting the word out was an important first step, communicating the support that we are coordinating and how residents can access it. To achieve this, we did the following. 6 large banners have been displayed at Blackpill, Males Primary, Oystermouth Primary, the roundabout at West Cross and in Mumbles Village. 8,000 leaflets were printed and delivered by volunteers to all houses in the area where possible. We've used MCC social media and sites such as Nextdoor to point people towards updates on our website. We put a paid advertorial in the South Wales Evening Post on the 18th of April, and it's also on the Wales Online website. We weren't happy with the original print version, so I complained to the Evening Post and they kindly reprinted an amended version on the 29th of April. And then I also, at very short notice, recorded an interview with The Wave for news bulletins. And I understand from Richard that Badger has also been giving us a shout out recently on The Wave, so that's good news. We do realise that there may still be a small number of people that we have not reached, but we're confident that we've done all we can. We keep this on our agenda as we think it's important to keep promoting the support available. Councillor Langston is coordinating an exercise with city councillors to contact known vulnerable people living on their own using data from CCS to identify anyone who's not yet heard about our support and who wishes to access it. So that's pretty much our bread and butter in terms of coordinating volunteers to help with kind of practical tasks. We are also sharing a great deal of information via our social media channels and our website. This includes information about how to stay safe from COVID, of course, but also scams to watch out for, a weekly update on businesses offering takeaway and delivery, activities to do from home, changes to third sector activities, financial support available for businesses, updates from CCS on local authority services, and much more. Over the last 6 weeks, we have experienced some issues with the speed with which SA1 is able to respond to requests for posts and articles to be uploaded to the website and social media. Major changes to the website, including a separate tab for volunteers and one for traders, have now been completed. However, we do remain unsatisfied with SA1's attention to our social media channels and have subsequently had to agree that in the current climate of emergency, sorry, that's my climate emergency getting into my head. In the current climate of urgency, Maddie, our new Environmental Engagement Officer, will post content provided to her from the operations team relating to COVID-19. And Councillor Townsend-Jones continues to post onto Facebook, including coordinating the weekly update on businesses offering takeaway and delivery. We do feel that particularly the situation regarding social media will need urgent review when the need for COVID-19 support subsides. And on the information sharing, we have identified that although there appears to be a wealth of information available, there are still some people who are unaware of government support that can be accessed by businesses and charities in particular. The RFO has drafted a briefing for charities to ensure particularly that our community spaces are accessing this support to safeguard them as community assets. We'd initially thought of collating a stakeholder list with the option to sign up for COVID news and MCC general news. And this has developed into work, not just to inform, but also to promote local businesses and other organisations, which I will come back to in a minute. So we have been committed to assuring the quality and safety of the support offered at this time. We sought feedback from 23 recipients of support so far via outbound telephone calls from Councillor Reason. All reported being really appreciative of the service, with not one negative response. Councillor Reason has kept a written record of all the comments, and these will be available either from him or the clerk, and we would like to repeat this exercise at a future date. We also intend to send a feedback questionnaire to all our volunteers by email to understand more about the experience of people who have volunteered with us. This is the first time MCC has coordinated volunteer activity on this scale, but volunteering will likely be an important aspect of our work in the future. And so we therefore want to use this opportunity to gain any useful insights into the experience of volunteering with MCC that we can. So I just wanted to touch briefly on what we think is next. So we heard just before the weekend that Wales will remain in lockdown for at least 3 more weeks. It is clear that people are starting to get frustrated with the situation, and many will be concerned about making ends meet with little or no income for another 3 weeks. So apart from coordinating the regular volunteer activity, which has very quickly become our business as usual, there are 3 key areas of work for the immediate future. So firstly, on supporting local businesses, Claire has set up a page for local traders to register the information about their business and what they are able to offer in current circumstances. The intention is to promote one business, maybe a day, maybe a week, we haven't quite worked out the details, on our social media platform. And it's also hoped to develop this into a fully functioning directory to support local businesses and other organisations going forward. Secondly, I mentioned that we've not really proactively promoted our telephone support offer. It could require quite a lot of resource to successfully and safely match people with volunteers to receive a regular phone call to check in. However, the issue of isolation will only get worse the longer we're in lockdown, so we're keeping this aspect of our support under review and currently dealing with matches on a case-by-case basis. There may be an argument to focus more on supporting general well-being, but this will require careful consideration of the resources to coordinate. And then finally, encouraging responsible behaviour. So I'm sure we're all experiencing the risk that we will start to see less compliance with social distancing guidelines as fatigue kicks in. So while we can promote compliance through our social media channels, for example, through retweeting, etc., content from City and County or from Public Health Wales, we can also provide content that encourages people to stay indoors by offering things to do, such as the videos that Maddie is working on, resources from Enjoy Swansea Bay and other such sources. So lastly, no one yet knows what the lifting of lockdown measures will look like. However, for those who are shielding for 12 weeks on medical advice, we're only about halfway through, so some support will remain necessary for at least another 6 weeks. In addition, there will be people for whom the lifting of lockdown is a very worrying time, as they fear another spike in infection rates and therefore may still request some support with grocery delivery, etc. So for these reasons, it's my preference to maintain the COVID-19 support via our bank of volunteers for as long as the requests for support keep coming in. And as the council moves back to something resembling business as usual, this may require a bit of extra capacity from other councillors, because staff will of course be pulled back to their normal work. Alternatively, council may choose to prioritise staff time for ensuring that this support is maintained. As we come out of lockdown, we'll also have a responsibility as Mumbles Community Council to support the recovery of our community, including its businesses, community spaces and activities. And it is hoped that the work to support local businesses and community organisations in the short term will also help us to support them in the longer term. Finally, it would be remiss of us to miss the opportunity to thank and celebrate our wonderful volunteers who really exemplify everything that is great about the Mumbles community. And so we will be working on proposals for ways to do this as the lockdown is lifted, and we will keep you posted. Thanks for getting to the end.
That's brilliant. Thanks, Rebecca. I know not everybody here is kept fully up to speed with what we've been doing, so that was really useful. So you've all got a full picture of what's been going on over the last 6 weeks. So what I'll do, I'll just go around my screen and just ask each of you in turn if you've got any questions or comments for Rebecca. And then if you haven't, just say no and I can move on to the next person. So in my screen order, first is Ian.
No, I have no questions.
Okay, thanks very much. Linda? I'll guess that's a no. Pam?
Only to say that I had a couple of phone calls saying that they'd seen the ad in the Evening Post, and to say thank you very much to the council and well done everybody for what they've done. So people are out there and they are getting back to say how grateful they are that we are doing this. So it's nice to have some feedback from that. From
Great.
people not going to our area but outside and saying well done you lot for going ahead and doing it.
Excellent, thanks very much. Gareth?
Only a big well done to everybody who's taken part. It seems to be working, and the people I've spoken to are very appreciative of what we've done.
Excellent. Okay, Sarah.
Yeah, just to say thank you for all the stuff that's been done. That's great. I'm just getting positive feedback from my street, even though they haven't used it. They said they're aware of it, which is good. Okay.
Brilliant. Thanks. Richard.
No questions. The only comments got to make is it's really good. At the end, we need a wash-up meeting to work out what went well and what didn't go so well.
Yeah.
And then to put it all into a contingency plan. So in the future, if something like this happens, which it will at some stage, even if it's 20 years down the road, someone pick it up and it's something to work with. So they will be ahead of where we were, if you like. That's it.
Yeah, that's a brilliant idea. Yes, you know, definitely we must, we'll make sure that can be the last job of the COVID ops team when we're all finished and we're about to disband. Will, any comment from you as a member of the team?
Yeah, I'd just like to, obviously, as Rebecca's already done, thank all the staff for their real hard work, and I think as a team we've worked very well. I'd also just like to say, you know, big well done to Rebecca for how well she sort of spearheaded it. She's done a very good job, and it's been a pleasure to be a part of the team. Thank you.
Thanks, Will. Martin. Oh, right, Martin, even when you unmuted your mic, we couldn't hear you. Do you want to just check we can hear you? No. We'll come back to you. Rob, I know, sorry you missed most of that, but
well, no, I got the
thought.
I got the gist of it, and I mean, I've read, you know, the weekly emails that have come from Rebecca. I mean, a big thank you to everybody who's volunteered within the community. I mean, there's been some, and to Claire especially as well for coordinating this. I think after this is over, we don't just rely on Public Health Wales, though, because they failed in a couple of areas over this whole thing. The lockdown was too late, the advice given was too late, and the minister who was, or the worker, the chief exec, whatever, who was on the other day, had no idea about the number of tests going on as well. So I don't think we can rely on them totally. We've got to hold our own counsel on the way we come out of this.
Okay, thanks. Carwyn? I'll take that as a no.
No, I don't like it at all. I love it.
Great. Okay, Miles, another member of the team, of course. Anything to add?
Yeah, no, just echo what's been said in terms of thanks to everybody who's played a role. Obviously, you know, well done to everybody who's been working on the team as well, because as Rebecca said, not everybody's worked together directly before, but I think it's really worked quite well, and everybody's been trying to do play their part. So thanks to everybody, thanks to the staff as well who stepped up when being in the roles only for a very short period, and also thanks to all the volunteers who stepped forward as well. It's obviously showing the community at its best. So yeah, just well done and thank you.
Thanks, Miles. Linda, turn your mic on.
She knows how to.
How to make the sound?
We've got
to hear you now.
hear you.
I can hear you very, very slow, very, very muted. So can you just all shout?
Can you turn your speakers up?
How do I do that?
Turn your volume up on your iPad.
I can't.
On the buttons on the side.
On the side buttons. Anyway, for now, have you any comments on Rebecca?
No, that's everything. It's, everybody's done wonderfully well, and I've received phone calls and I've helped people as well, so I'm doing that part.
Great.
So everything's great.
Lovely. Thanks, Linda. Okay, just Rebecca, anything to just come back on any of those comments?
Well, working for Public Health Wales, I should perhaps say I have an interest in Rob's comments, but I think I would say that my reflections have been that, you know, to do this took a risk, and there was quite a lot of, you know, well-founded concern about us getting involved really at an early stage, and we have had to do something that's been beyond our normal remit, but it was what was needed in the circumstances, and I think we've proven now that we can step up when it requires. And it may have looked difficult or scary back in March, but we have done it, and we've continued to do it, and it has actually been a complete privilege. The most positive thing I've been involved in since I've been a councillor. So yeah, thanks for that.
Thanks. Okay, so just really to reiterate everything that people have said, say thanks to all the team and our staff who have been fantastic and have just got on and done whatever it is that's needed to be done, and also thanks to all the people on the phone rota, because you know, that's quite a responsibility as well, particularly those who are on the rota at weekends when they've really got to be on duty from 9 in the morning till 9 at night. So a big thanks to yeah, poor Gareth, who seems to have ended up having to cover 2 bank holiday weekends.
Okay.
But anyway, fantastic, and thanks everyone. And certainly I think Richard's idea was good, that we do need to, you know, before we just sort of sign off, to put together a sort of, you know, learning experience, and to make sure that we do have something, as he said, that we can then just implement straight away if anything like this happens again. Okay, thanks everyone. Okay, right. I think we move on to Paul, if you could go through the financial report for us.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. A slightly bridged financial report. What we're doing at the moment is, because we can't pay anything by cheques, I'm paying everything by bank transfer. So what I've got there is a list of all the payments that have been made since, well, just about since the lockdown. And I'm asking for retrospective approval for those payments. There's also the income we've received, which is the first instalment of the precept for this year, and there's the bank balance as at the 4th of April.
Okay, anybody got any comments or questions for Paul on the finance report? And is everybody in agreement that we retrospectively approve all those payments? Yeah, I don't see any dissenters, so I think we can safely say that's approved. Okay, so we move on to the second bit, which is about regarding financial regulations. And again, perhaps I'll ask Paul to explain what this is and why it's needed. So can I have back to you, Paul?
Thanks, Chair. At the moment, certain parts of the budget I can pay because I've got pre-approved authority. And that's any amount. That's things like salaries, any building costs, those sorts of things. There's also a financial regulation which allows the RFO to make payments up to £500 and then to report back to the next council meeting. So that's been used for any payments which are included on the schedule which has just been approved. But I think it would make things much easier if that was increased to £1,000. Only until we get back to normal and we have meetings, and then we can go back to having a proper financial report which approves payments before they are made. Just as a quick example, the payment that we had to make last week for the evaluation, obviously that had to be sent round by email to get approval. But if we increase this amount to £1,000 temporarily, then we would save having to do that sort of thing. Obviously anything over £1,000, then obviously that would need council approval before it is paid.
Okay, so we just need to get formal approval of that. So if everybody, if you go to your reactions, you will see there is a thumbs up. If everybody can do a thumbs up or a clap, whichever they want, to confirm those in favour, please.
Sorry, I was putting a wave up to ask a question.
Oh, sorry. Okay, sorry, Will. I thought that was an approval. Will,
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, no, it's just, I was just wondering what sort of time period we're looking at on this, because if it's something that's voted in, I totally agree with it, and I think it's a good idea. Gives the RFO more flexibility. I think it's better to put a time limit on it rather than remembering to take it off, because it might be that something that's never taken off. So maybe if we say sort of 6 months or something. The other.
I never forget, Will.
Well, yeah. You might get run over by a bus though, Paul. God forbid, you know. Who knows? And then the new RFO, who knows? He might be. Anyway, the other question I've got is all of these are obviously the clerk sees all the transactions as well, don't they? And it's a sort of joint decision, just for clarity.
Yes. Okay. So in terms of timing, if we could say up to a maximum of 6 months, with a recommendation that we revisit it, say after 4 months, to see whether we feel it's either can in fact be withdrawn, or whether we feel that it in fact will need to go further. So if we say that we approve that for an initial period of 6 months, subject to review after 4 months. I mean, if you want, Will, and maybe that's something we could do, we could request that the RFO checks all payments, and I think it's probably sensible with the chair before payments are made, just so that there is at least a formal approval from the chair of council that they're happy with it.
Yeah, maybe that's a good idea. Copy the chair and the clerk in, and to an email. Maybe they don't have to get approval, but just as long as they're aware of it, then he doesn't have to wait for a reply. But yeah.
Okay, right. So we will do it now. So all those in favour of making the approval to raise the limit to £1,000 initially for 6 months. Okay, brilliant, lovely. Miles is, yes, he's there as well. And we'll take Gareth, Pam, yes, brilliant. Okay, right, now the next one is this grant request. It was attached to your agenda. So as it's sort of, as I say, something that I do have a personal interest, but as Steve said, I mean, I'm not an officer or anything. I don't make any decisions about what happens there. I just am there and things happen, and you know, that's just, I go along with it as an allotment holder. But if you prefer that I don't participate, then obviously I can withdraw. Nope. Okay, right. Well, you've all had a chance to look at the application. Obviously, I can give you a bit of information about it because I do know what they wanted to do. What it is, there's it's quite a big area, the Upper Norton field, and the tap at the moment is at the top of the field. So anyone who has an allotment at the bottom has a very long walk with their watering cans backwards and forwards up to the tap at the top to water their allotments. So what they're asking for is money to lay a new pipe from the existing tap down to the bottom of the field, so that a second tap, well in fact a third, because there's another one right at the top, can be installed for people in the lower allotment. Okay, and they're asking for £500.
Sorry, Karen. This is from ignorance because I've not had a chance to read the application yet. Is what proportion of the total cost of the work is the £500?
It's a very good question. I don't think they actually say.
We have.
Yes, we normally do. For some reason, I can't actually see that question on this form. Is there a bit of it missing?
I mean, there's two issues there. Firstly, we do normally have a precedent of not covering the total cost, but we also have had, certainly in recent memory, a precedent of asking for some sort of indication that they've fully costed the work so that we can be sure they're not asking for more than they need and that kind of thing.
Right, I believe there were estimates sent in with the grant, Steve, is that right?
Yes, so
yeah.
Do you want me to double check on Survey Monkey? Perhaps move on to the next item, because I think Rebecca's right, there is a bit of the form seems to be missing.
Yes, yes, although the question numbers are in the right order, yeah, there seems to be that question about what the total cost of the project does seem to be missing.
So yeah, I'll look that up while if you move on, and then you can come back.
Okay.
Have they said that they're doing any of the work themselves?
Yes, they have. They have done the work, the preparatory work themselves. So I suppose in that way you could suggest that I suppose that is part of the cost of the project, because they've had to do clearing all the path out and to dig the trench down through for the pipe to.
Well, that's huge cost, isn't it? If they have to pay for labour for that, it would be huge.
Okay. Anyway, Steve will just double check. And so if we could move on to item 7, which is the appointment of a skate park consultant, which is part of the requirement of the planning decision for the skate park. So if I could ask Pam if you could just explain, and then obviously you can refer to Paul in terms of the actual content of the tender if you want him to add anything to it. Okay, Pam.
It's a condition of the due diligence that is being demanded by Swansea City Council. 1, that we appoint a consultant for the skate park to double check everything we've done, and 2, that we do a business plan. Pip and Carrie are doing the business plan. The clerk can't yet, the RFO can't yet send out the tender because Lewis Hines still hasn't sent the list that we've been waiting for. But the RFO has said that until he gets that list, the tender will not be going out. That's his decision. And then when he gets it out, we have 3 different names to get 3 different approximations of the price from it. He can send that out then, but it really is in the hands of the RFO. I can't hear you. I can't hear you, Carrie.
Paul, do you want to just say anything more about the tender that we want to send out?
Yeah, what we're looking for really is quotes, because hopefully it's not going to cost more than 25,000, which would require a tender. I think what I've done is put together a specification which asks for the work that's required, including looking at the different sites that we're waiting for Swansea Council to identify. As Pam said, you can't send it out yet because we need to put the number of sites in. Obviously, that's going to be whatever their price is going to be, is how many days they're going to have to spend looking at the different sites. So as soon as we get that list, then I can send that out to the 3 people who've been identified as potentially doing this work. And then I think, as happened with the tennis, Langland Tennis project manager, I think the RFO was given authority then to appoint based on the quotes that are received. So that's what this recommendation is about, so that we can then appoint someone and they can get on with it and move forward.
It is exactly the same process as Langland. Sorry to talk over you. The same process as Langland, you're just copying for this.
Okay, thanks. I noticed that Rob and Linda have their hands up.
Yeah.
Linda, yes.
Carrie, would you be able to just recap on that? Because I can hear you, but I can't hear anybody else.
Oh, right. Yes. It was part of the requirement is part of the requirement of the due diligence that's required as a result of some of the conditions that were put on the planning application, that we appoint a consultant who will look at all the other potential sites in the Mumbles area and produce a report either recommending Cloyndero as the best site, or indeed if there are other sites which that consultant considers should be looked at. The consultant would also obviously oversee all aspects of the project and coordinate between us and Maverick, make sure that Maverick are actually doing everything they're supposed to be doing. So as Pam said, it's very similar to the one we did for the tennis courts, where we have appointed a consultant to project manage and oversee that work. We're looking to do the same for the skate park.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, Rob.
Just one thing on we found ourselves in this situation before when people have applied for grants, and at the moment our financial regs say that they should raise 50% of.
Sorry, we're talking about the skate park now.
Yeah, well, I put my hand up before, but I didn't get around.
Sorry, no, but Steve said we're going to come back to that because he was going to check on to find out what the total cost was, because it's missing from the form.
Okay, I'll say it later then.
Okay, thanks. Right, anyone else?
Can I add that the clerk has put every piece of paper we've got on this, it's up on OneDrive. The letters and the reports from the first meetings, the reports from the second meetings, the tender document itself, and the clerks also reported on one of the meetings. So all the reports are up on OneDrive, the tender's up on OneDrive, it's all there for everybody to see.
Right, okay. Has anybody, should I just, again, I'll quickly go round if anybody's got any questions or comments about it. Ian?
Well, this is a matter that we discussed at community and social meeting recently, and there were a number of matters which I was concerned with, but I don't see any benefit in there are certain similarities. That we did have a consultant to look at the Langland situation. However, I don't see that should set a precedent. This should stand on its own merits. I find it a bit hard that we are asked to do this by city, but I think we best leave it there and someone else can speak.
Okay, thank you, Ian. Gareth?
No comments from me. If it's something that we've got to do, that's asked for by the city and county, there's nothing much we can do about it and just have to go with it.
Okay, thanks. Sarah?
No, I'm fine. I'm fine. I mean, I have to just say that this was caused by somebody, a councillor, complaining, wasn't it, about wanting further to look into this. So it wasn't something we brought on ourselves.
Okay, thanks. Rebecca?
No questions. I think if it's what we need to do, then we shouldn't be worried by it. We should.
Thanks. Richard?
Yeah, basically, let's just get on with it.
Okay, thanks. Will?
Yeah, it is something we need to do. An independent study of all the sites in the MCC ward. It's something I said right at the beginning of the project. It's something that should have been done right at the start. It's something I've said at every skate park meeting.
Yeah.
This needs to have been, it should have been done, it should have been the first thing that was done. It should have been an independent study. It should have been done from the start. It would have saved months and lots of money. So let's get it done, but let's also learn that this is not the way to do it.
Martin?
Yeah. Obviously, it's something that we need to be done to progress on this project. So let's get it done ASAP.
Okay, thanks. Rob?
No further questions.
Thanks. Linda?
No, I agree. It should have been done in the beginning. I'm happy it's being done now.
Thanks, Linda. Miles?
Yeah, echo mostly what's been said. It needs to be done. Echo also what Will said. He raised this right at the very beginning. It should have happened at that stage. And every time he brought it up, he was shot down on it. So I think we need to look at how we're going about these things in future and take comments like that when they're brought forward seriously, because it just makes us look underprepared and silly when we're getting called out on these processes.
I've just become aware we've lost Carwyn.
Can I come back on that?
He left quite a while ago.
Yeah, just briefly. Oh, yes, I know. I suddenly realised he's gone.
I've written to Will about this. It was all decided by the full committee and by co-opted members. So there was a huge committee. There was Gareth. Mike,
yeah, Pam, we're talking about the now. Let's not worry about the history.
That's fair enough. Well done.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so if I could ask, please, that those, if you could please raise your hand if you approve of giving delegated powers to the RFO to tender and appoint a project consultant. So far I've got one. Sorry, could you keep your hands up? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yep, that's it. That's unanimous. Brilliant. Thanks ever so much, everybody. Okay, Steve, are you able to come back to us with that query about the allotment?
Yeah, the total cost was £645.40p. That's £296.40p for the path and £349 for the standpipe. They're asking for 500, aren't they?
Yeah. We added in the labour cost that would have been the labour to have somebody dig that huge channel from top to bottom for them. Have they included labour costs?
No, I think because they're volunteers, it never wouldn't have occurred to them probably to have said that they had to do the preparatory work. Okay. And presumably we'll have to do some tidying up afterwards. I'm not sure how much of the path, relaying the path, is going to be done by the guy who's laying the pipe. Right. Well, as I say, it's are we in?
Sorry, Carrie. Just to say, there is something with the cost of the path where she does say that the retaining boards need replacing. The cost of the boards are X, which is a settled amount. All the work is going to be done by them.
Right. Okay. So yes,
that's quite explicit, actually.
Okay, so I think in answer to Rob's question, he's just moved along a bit. that yes, there is. They are finding either the money or the volunteer time themselves to do the rest of the project.
That wasn't my point. My point I was going to make was we found ourselves in a situation a couple of times where grants have been applied for and the funding hasn't been matched. So maybe it hasn't been match funding, it's just been a total grant for whatever project it is. Maybe we need to look at our financial regulations and put where possible, but because at the moment it seems like a total thing, you must raise 50% yourself, otherwise you get nothing. And I don't think that's fair in some cases. So I think maybe,
yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, no, I think that's a fair point.
On their own merit, rather than just
yeah, good idea. Yes, I think it's not actually in the financial regs, it's in the sort of grant regulations. So that's certainly something that JEC could look at, and we could see if we review those. We might want to relook at the form as well, because I think there's a couple of the questions that are slightly ambiguous, which I know people have struggled to answer. So if I could, Steve, suggest that goes on to whenever JEC meet again, that we review the grant application regulations and form.
I don't know what the new chair of the, whoever that may be, of the community and social, because they may say that's their job as they administer the grants.
Right. Well, I think because JEC have responsibility for sort of financial matters, but yeah, somewhere if somebody could have a look at it anyway.
Got my hand up.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, Pam.
Is it regulations or did it just become custom and practice after Tim said that that's what he should do?
It's written into the guidance.
Thank you very much.
At the moment.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so those in favour of giving Upper Norton allotment £500 to get their water supply improved. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, right, that's lovely. Thank you very much. That's approved. Okay, right. Well, the last thing is a personnel matter, so we can say thank you and goodbye to Steve and Paul.
Yep, night everyone.
Okay, thanks Paul, thanks Steve.
Good night.
Right.
You, Steve.
Okay, right, thanks everyone. It's just one thing that we needed to discuss.
Interrupt, Carrie. Sorry to interrupt, but I think we'll still be recording. So
oh yes, sorry. Oh blimey, how do I unrecord?
Is it stop video?
Yeah, stop.
No.
Let's stop your own video.
All right.
Harry to find the button.
Oh God, maybe Steve needs to do it.
No, I think you can do it as a joint host.
I haven't got recording on my screen, so it looks as if it stopped.
No, it still says it's recording on my screen.
It's down
by
participant.